Okay, I believe I'm streaming. As always, give me a few moments to get everything set up here. Okay. Gonna hear an ad for a second, probably. Oh, go away. Hey, welcome. Welcome, Alan. Adoe Maru, DeRoach, Vibrations. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone is having a good day so far. Things are pretty good here. Awesome, that's good to hear. Dizzy Izzy. Yeah, this is the 8-bit Majula theme is something I made. I make all of my chiptune intros. I made it in a program called Fama Tracker. So it's authentic NES music. You could export this and play it back on an actual console. Give me just another minute here, and then I should be good to go. Oh yeah, I forgot Blue Sky is completely shitting the bed, so I'm not even going to worry about hosting the link there. Never mind that. It's, for anyone who doesn't use Blue Sky, lately it's been, like, really struggling pretty frequently. I mean, it started a little while ago, like, I think over a month ago, actually, but it's just escalated to, like, every other day. It feels like it has long windows of time where it's just not really loading. And this is after they talked about, like, using AI to code, you know, and it's like, it could easily be a server-side issue where it has nothing to do with their AI code, but, like, that is... I also don't mind that everyone's accusing them of that being the problem, in a way, because it's just sort of, you know... There's a lot of issues with AI-coded stuff that's just like... It's not a great look to have so many things wrong with your site, like, after you kind of, like, openly embrace vibe coding. Okay. One last thing to pull up here. What am I doing here? Oh, here we go. Oh no, that's what I get for... Now the music looped at a weird point because it's just like a 4-minute export of the song that I didn't... If I just put the actual NSF for the song on, then it would loop forever properly. Okay. I remember, like, just recently reading about how, like, the Claude source code leaked or whatever, right? And it was just like, yeah, I'm not a programmer, so I can't. A deeper level discussion was over my head, but people were marveling just like at how terrible it was. Horribly inefficient, making like hundreds of thousands of unneeded calls or whatever, and within a short time frame, and I don't know, just really inefficient, sloppy nonsense. And it's hugely insulting to a lot of programmers because it's like their code could never be so sloppy, but it's like just let the AI do anything, just publish it immediately. Like, wild. Okay, all right. Hello, welcome, Hot Pocket. All right, let's get that music out of here. Well, here we go. I'm really hoping so, benevolent beaver. I don't know why those two words together are like a tongue twister for me. Benevolent beaver. I feel like keep saying it over to myself. Benevolent right all by itself doesn't trip me, which is very odd. Yeah, I really hope there are vagrants kicking around from the last session so it could help speed up this process. That would be ideal. How are we doing on resources? We're doing fine for now. We're doing fine. Yeah, no, there shouldn't really be any sort of expiration to vagrants. As long as people keep getting them and sending them back out, they should be able to last forever, hypothetically. Its date of creation, yeah, it's not something that it, like, logs or anything. So as the game, it knows how many times a vagrant's been passed around, but it has no idea how old a vagrant is. Did I even go online? Did I even, I might have mashed through the menu. Let me start over. I think I might not even be online. Yeah, we're at the cool number for now. Go online. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly, yeah, Hot Pocket, that's a good call. Yeah, if a vagrant goes to someone's like vagrant inbox or whatever, and then they quit the game and then never reload the game, it's like, oh, it's trapped in that person's game now. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people last stream were saying they were getting a good amount of vagrants early in the level, and they were surprised that I wasn't seeing them yet, so hopefully that pans out eventually. I think I forgot to send the elevator back up. I keep forgetting to do that. I can never remember with that I do it all the time, like pretty instinctually with the Firelink elevator. I keep forgetting with the basin elevator. We still have an imminent strange creature message, so that's great. What? There we go. How many years does it take for a game to become retro? Ooh, that's a tough question. 15? Is this, am I playing a retro game right now? I feel like as games get I think that number is going to stretch as like each console generation gets distinguished less and less. the sort of diminishing returns of like higher graphical fidelity. Because like 15 years was definitely enough back in the day. If you were playing NES games in the early 2000s, you were playing a retro game. So a game that came out in like, if you were playing a game that came out in 1985 in the year 2000, that was definitely already a retro game. But, you know. Where do I want to lose my bloodstain? Ow. Owie. This is really bad everywhere. Yep. Why were most of your favorite games released in 2011? I'm bad at remembering games by year. I know Dark Souls came out 2011. I know Skyrim came out 2011. I remember when Dark Souls 1 was coming out, I went to go pre-order it at a GameStop, and the person was like, you know, I was like, oh, I'd like to put in a pre-order for Dark Souls, and the person looked very confused, and they're like, kind of looking at the computer, like, it's called Dark Souls, and I remember kind of silently judging the person, being like, man, you haven't heard of Dark Souls? Which is very silly and very stupid. Like, chat, who heard of Dark Souls before it came out? But I was already Souls brained even prior to the release of Dark Souls 1. I was so ready for this. And I was thinking like, it's like, what? You didn't hear about this game that's coming out that I'm super hyped for? How dare you? Hey, welcome to Sono Jam. It should be... well, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so we've already seen one Evil Vagrant in this location, but we never got the Black Phantom version. That's why I'm really hoping activity from our last session is still bouncing around to some extent. Oh yeah, Hot Pockets. I don't know how much you caught for the last stream, but again, following the superstition that being in a different map matters, we just did all of our runs from the Upper Sens Fortress bonfire, so we never really even got to check like what it was like respawning in the Undead Bearish constantly. But there was some funny stuff. I'm glad Anjov had poked into chat, and we found our first ever location where like the ground that the Vagrant was on didn't correspond with its location. Ow! Shit. There's a good Vagrant by the giant that opens the gate, the portcullis giant, and like, so I was dropping items on that rooftop for a while, and it's like that wasn't even going towards that good Vagrant location. I'm dropping these in advance here because this will correspond with the dark race, like by the stables or whatever you want to call them, the glory holes as I called them. There's no real convenient way to check this Evil Vagrant location at the same time without spawning the Vagrants at a different location, so I'm kind of not really checking the good Vagrants at the moment. Which illusory wall is my favorite? I don't know if I have a favorite one, but like if you want footage of one kind of looking cool and mysterious as you break it open, the one in New Londo Ruins is a pretty good candidate because it's nice and, I don't know, dark, mysterious area. Wait, speaking of which, yeah, brightness is at 8. Okay. Oh, that's funny, Hot Pocket. Confession booths, prayer rooms of some kind. But yeah, doing that little jump up there to drop item bags was like the least out of the way location I could find to help send good vagrants to that dark race location. Okay, hey, all right, we got an evil vagrant already, so that's promising. It's not the one we're looking for, but we'll take it. The little hop they sometimes do is great. Last stream we never really got a good momentum going. Like we saw a couple of the regular evil vagrant here, but we weren't seeing them like frequently, which is like usually what's needed in the lead up to getting the Black Phantom version. So oops, and I forgot to send the elevator again. McCann asked, is the reason I switched from Transient Curses to Eye of Death? Just because I might want to use Transient Curses in this area. So I was like, hey, let me just dupe another good Vagrant spawning item. It'd be fun if Vagrant were absurdly strong like the Mushroom people. Yeah, if you get a Black Phantom Evil Vagrant, especially in the late game area, then its projectiles are like extremely dangerous. But that's like the only context that really matters with them. Okay, let's try this again. Huh. Oh, nice, you dupe Divine Blessings. Yeah, that's a good item. That's like actually like really the item we probably should be using to spawn good vagrants this whole time. Do I have any in my inventory? Have I picked up any? Do I need to go do a detour to get one somewhere? Yeah, I have one. That could be because if the good vagrant that results from divine blessings gets passed around enough, its Black Phantom version is guaranteed to drop the divine blessing. That's the best possible drop they have. So divine good vagrants are the best good vagrants. Do objects have an influence on how good or bad the vagrant is? No, it's purely binary. Dropped items have a 100% chance of becoming a good vagrant, regardless of what item it is. And lost bloodstains have a 100% chance of being evil vagrants, regardless of how much humanity is in the bloodstain. But the dropped item does influence its... The good vagrants, though, do have, like, a variety of quote-unquote random drops, which are not random, but they're, like, they sync up with whatever item was originally dropped, but it goes through, like, an evolution, so you don't know, like, for example, you could drop rubbish to spawn a good vagrant, but you don't... That doesn't mean it's going to drop rubbish when you kill it. But it will always drop the same thing. It has, like, a certain path it goes down. Ugh. When's the full Vagrant vid dropping from all these live streams? There probably won't be one, not for a little while, but I think I will redo the Vagrant video at some point. The Vagrant mechanics one, not the Vagrant lore one. I made it earlier on, and there's stuff like, I didn't do the bestiary type thing that I often do, like I didn't even show all their spawn locations. There's other information I could be more detailed on. I didn't have proper information on the cooldown timers, and I'm just kind of like, I look back at that video and I'm like, oh, okay, that's clearly an early video of mine, where if I wrote it today, there would have been more information. It would have been longer and better. So I think I'll probably redo it at some point. If and when I do remake a video too, I'll just unlist the original and link to it like in the video description of the redone version, so people can find the old version if they want to see it. And I would basically just copy large chunks of the original script and then make small additions where I need to and just add completely new sections. Just like George Lucas. Broke is complaining about the Star Wars Special Edition re-releases. Woke is complaining about the THX 1138 Director's Cut, because my god, he ruined that movie too. It's so frustrating that he added all the CG to THX. It's like, come on. It's one thing too, like, I don't know, it's like, if you want to release like your alternate cut or whatever with your added special effects, fine, but also just repackage it along. You could sell more copies. You could produce just a restoration of the original cut as well, like, without adding a bunch of CG and crap. Like, you could just sell both copies. You could just do that. Hey, welcome, Keith. Yeah, we're at the good number. Hey, welcome, Colonel, as well. Yeah, I heard about that they are working on a proper restoration of the original Star Wars. I can't wait for that. I know it's been complained about to death, but I grew up with the original trilogy on VHS, which, you know, also wasn't great because that was full screen. I think I think the first time I really thought about full screen versus widescreen was when the Star Wars Special Edition came out, right? Because I was probably only like 10 or 11 when they started re-releasing the original trilogy with all the added special effects. But that was my first time ever seeing Star Wars in proper widescreen format. So someone who like watched the movies obsessively as a kid and like, you know, being able to name a lot of, oh, you know, that's Reese or whatever, like a lot of like the minor aliens. It was just like combing the frames the whole time, being like, holy shit, there's all these characters like on the sides of scenes that like I never saw before. It's like, oh, there's other shots of this background alien who I thought only showed up in like 2 shots. Now there's more shots of them that include them or whatever. Unfortunately, though, is at the cost of having a bunch of added CG stuff, and that, you know, is not good or appropriate for the movies at all. I did get to watch, there was a local theater that played a few years back, despecialized version. I know there's a lot of different despecialized versions of Star Wars, and I don't know the difference between any of them, but I got to see one of the despecialized editions in a theater, and their whole gimmick to avoiding legal issues was that they weren't selling tickets to see the movie, they were selling memberships to a quote-unquote private screening or whatever. And you could like buy membership to the theater, but they also sold memberships that were day long. It was so fucking funny. It was so great seeing the movies how they were supposed to be. Just like, yes, this is part of film history. Star Wars should be experienced as a movie from the late 70s. Hopefully dropping the bloodstains on this roof corresponds to this roof. I'm pretty sure it does. I think I checked that earlier, but last stream. Oh, that's cool, Algae. I didn't know anything about that. Unlicensed Hungarian Star Wars comics. There's no way to see if you're on a Vagrant cooldown, unfortunately. I've never tried because the menu didn't... Something I'll do at the end of the very last thing I'll test at the end of the Vagrant stream is if that timer even displays correctly, if that part of the debug for the remaster, that part of the debug menu works correctly. Like, right, I could, you can't go online with the remaster debug, but I could always kill a Vagrant at the end of the stream, reinstall debug, and then load up the same character and check. Has anyone else fallen onto the Angine de Poitrine bandwagon? 1000%. 1000%. Yeah. I've been watching like a lot of React videos. Not that like I really get much out of any of them, but most of them. But I don't know. Yeah, just enjoy it. Extremely instantly up my alley too. There's no, for a lot of people it might be like, oh, what is this really weird stuff? For me, it's just instantly likable to me. In high school, I listened to Hella, was one of my favorite bands. The fucking Champs, Trans Am, Dysrhythmia. I liked a lot of like instrumental bands that did prog or math rock or whatever. So even without the costumes, even without the visual element, which is incredibly well done, and I love all that shit. If you just played me a couple seconds of Engine de Poitrine, like, you know, put it on in your car or something, or like, hey, check this out, I'd instantly be like, yeah, this shit is great. It's extremely, extremely the kind of thing I would have listened to in high school way back. So, super into it. Wow, I'm a warlord. Hella's great too. Hell yeah, I'm always happy when people know about Hella. I saw Hella live probably about 6 times, I think. I loved Hella. At one point I got to see Lightning Bolt and Hella live in the same day, and they weren't even playing the same show together. It's like, what are the odds? You know, like, and they were, it's not like they were from the same area playing a show at the, you know, this was like in Connecticut of all places, where neither of the bands are from. So it's like, and one was during the daytime and one was in the evening. So it was like, how do you, the stars aligned that day for I never got to see Death Grips live, unfortunately. I wish I had made the effort. But I know they, like, canceled a lot of shows and, like... But yeah, I've always been a big fan of Zach Hill's drumming. Looks like I can leave a bloodstain all the way as far back as the seal lever. Ooh, that's good to know. Yeah, and I think it would render from back there, hopefully. We can start doing runs where we test. What's the last concert I went to? Oh, that is a good question. Was it Little Dragon, maybe? It's a mess, the timeline's very fuzzy. Like, I don't remember if it was Little Dragon or Blonde Redhead or They Might Be Giants. I should really go see Engine de Poitrine when they play in DC, but it's usually when I do like a trip in the fall, so I don't know. I would love to see them live though. But yeah, any Blonde Redhead fans in chat? I love them. They're great. I like how, like, Blonde Redhead got, like, a bit of a minor viral resurgence, because one of their songs was used at the end of, like, Rick and Morty or something like that. Which is wild. My favorite Blonde Redhead albums, they have I think there's good songs on like every album, but their middle chunk of albums, there's a melody of certain Damaged Lemons. What's the one after that again? I'm only forgetting the name of what's probably my favorite Blonde Redhead album. What the fuck? Whatever one is after it. Why am I... After it is 23. 23 is a fan... 23 might be the first album I'd recommend, actually, to someone who's never listened to Blonde Redhead before. 23 is fantastic. ABBA is one of those bands where I'm like, whenever like I hear songs of theirs, I'm like, oh yeah, this band is really cool. But I've just never like done a proper deep dive. I don't think I could even name a song of theirs off the top of my head right now, which is a little embarrassing. But yeah, they are cool. Dancing Queen, duh. Of course, yeah. As soon as you say it, then like the song pops into my head. Like, hey, we got a return drift bag here. That's great. Disco, underrated. Especially, I know Dark Lord Disco, who often pops up in chat, is a big fan of like Italo Disco. A lot of that shit is extremely good. Sort of like Giorgio Moroder sort of stuff. Anytime disco gets like a little more minor key or evil and psychedelic, like that's the good shit. I was recently listening to something called Black Devil Disco Club. There's a song called H Friend, which I have no idea what H stands for. That is like some 70s psychedelic dark like disco that fucking rules. I don't know that off the top of my head, but we can interrogate later on. I'm not familiar with Gigi D'Agostino. But yeah, Black Devil Disco Club has music by what's that musician's name? Bernard Fevre. He did like psychedelic sci-fi inspired music that was really cool. Ever try any psychedelics? No, I'm pretty vanilla. I basically only partake in 420 for the most part. Like, I would be open to the experience of trying it, I guess, but I don't know. I had a not so great experience with mushrooms, so I'm like, I think I'm okay. Do you want to hear about my bad experience with mushrooms? I'm like, I don't know how much of this stuff is like appropriate for whatever. It's more of a cautionary tale, so YouTube shouldn't complain. It would be telling people to not try them, maybe. I don't know. I tried them once when I was like in my early 20s, and it felt good at first, but then it just triggered like made me like extremely anxious and sad out of nowhere, to the point where like I started bawling and I couldn't stop crying for no reason, and I felt like shit. I felt absolutely miserable. And I remember my ex like was trying to console me, being like, "You're fine, you'll be fine," and it's just like it just felt fucking miserable. And it wasn't anything like dangerous in terms of like paranoia. Like I wasn't afraid of any, I wasn't like disconnected from reality in a dangerous way or anything. Like, oh, I'm sad and terrified because I think someone's trying to get me. Like, no, there was nothing. It was just a vague feeling of like, now my mood has changed and I don't feel good. So it was like a good solid hour probably, of just feeling absolutely terrible. I can see why it has, you know, medicinal value potentially for helping with mood-related issues, because it can definitely affect it. So, then I tried them again a second time at MagFest. If anyone in chat ever goes to the convention MagFest, I had a friend who brought some in chocolate. I didn't know that was a thing. Like, obviously people bake marijuana into THC into stuff, but yeah, I didn't know people did that with mushrooms. So I tried a chocolate bar that was infused with mushrooms, I guess. And I was okay that time, but it took a mental focus to not, like, I felt myself slipping in the same way that I did the first time, and I was able to summon the mental focus being like, hey, nothing bad happened the first time, you'll be fine, it's okay. If I didn't have that prior experience, I think it would have been the same thing as the first time, though. Like, I started to get that sinking feeling, that pit of, like, despair and like, sadness. I don't know. So I was able to, like, fight it off, but I was actively, I never, like, got to enjoy it, because I was actively the whole time just, like, telling myself, like, you're okay, relax. So, so the second attempt was less worse. Significantly less worse, but also not good. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm good. I think I'll stick to the stuff that's not strong or very psychedelic. The first time I had them not in chocolate form too, like, the taste made you acutely aware that you were eating something you were not supposed to be eating. Like, like extremely, like, oh, I'm poisoning myself right now. That, like, that. It tasted so horrible. In chocolate, it was well hidden. Like, it tasted like it was not good for a chocolate bar, but it was okay. Go away. There we go. Hey, return drift bag, that's good. We weren't seeing a ton of those last stream either, so... Yeah, when we finally get an evil Vagrant here again, I will check by what you were saying, Hot Pocket, that we can see it from the lever, because if that's true, then we'll just keep doing that. Well, that view, it would be kind of blocked, I think, but I could be jumping from over there, potentially. And you definitely see it from that path, at least. The evil Vagrant on the roof here is the only one you've seen in game. Yeah, I think it's up there for fairly popular locations to see one. It's understandable that players are losing bloodstains in New Londo Ruins, you know. you get overconfident on your run back to the Four Kings or something, or, you know, you run back through one of the ghost houses and you don't make it, like... I can't wait, so... I think in next year's Return to Lordran, which is basically almost an entire year off, because that was only like a couple months ago, I'll do some Return to Lordran live streams that are just spawning Vagrants again. It won't be a completionist run like we're doing now, but it'll be like, let's spam the Silver Knight Archer's Evil Vagrant location. Like, let's get it so like everyone playing through the game like is getting Evil Vagrants there. I think that'd be really funny. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Cody, because there was a time where I quit doing weed for like well over a year, maybe closer to like 2 years, where I abstained because I had a stretch where every time I got high, it like made me like kind of anxious and uncomfortable. And thankfully that is no longer the case anymore. So I'm back to being able to enjoy it. But yeah, that is absolutely... I've known some people who tried it and they're just like, it just made them anxious. And it's like, yeah, that is a potential outcome. Yeah, I think more critical reviews of marijuana's medicinal value are coming in, where sometimes it gets overhyped as a panacea. Like, obviously it has medicinal value, and like, you know, it not being legal recreationally was really stupid, but a lot of the hype and speculation, it's so good for all these different things, it's kind of like, is it? It might not even be good for treating anxiety, as a lot of people think, like, assume it is. It's like, the science is not buried out a very good positive effect there, apparently. It is legal where I live now, thankfully. It wasn't where I was living previously, so I'm glad to be out of there. One of the strongest, like, clear wins it has medically is, like, for appetite-related issues. Which is very funny how munchies are completely validated as a concept. Like, if you're someone who's had, like, chemo and you're struggling with, like, appetite issues or whatever, it's just like, yeah, it's very good for that. Hello, welcome, Nizma. Thank you. You saw 2 evil vagrants on Switch the other day. A red one in Los Isleth that you died to, and a normal one in the Sunlight Altar. Nice. There we go. I gotta remember to keep checking for the Witch Beatrice location, because we could potentially get another evil vagrant at a different location we haven't even seen yet, so I gotta keep an eye out for that. Witch Beatrice? Witch Beatrice? Why Witch Beatrice, of course. Which is which? Yeah, that's what I was kind of remembering Zero's cubed. Yeah, I think you just kind of see it without trying. Yeah. Something else I'm looking forward to when the run is done, I could see how many deaths were in this run. Obviously, this is the same as the mapless run, so the total count when we check in debug, when I reinstall debug, won't be the accurate number, but we'll just subtract the deaths from the mapless run, because I did check that at the end of that run. I can just subtract that and see how many times we've died in the process of creating vagrants. Yeah, I forget the events for Witch Beatrice, actually. I used to know this, because it's not that complicated, but is she unsummonable here if you never summon her in Darkroot? Is that correct? Or is just summon her in Darkroot required to get her gear in Valley of the Drakes? I don't remember. I'm sure it definitely says, like, on the Wikidot. I'm sure, like, whatever information there is, I'm highly confident is correct. But yeah, just one of those things that I used to know off the top of my head, but definitely don't remember now. Is defeating the 4 kings required for the items? Do they still show up if you never summon her, though? Is that possible? Hey, welcome, Spellfork. Wiki says you need to summon her for Butterfly to see her in 4 Kings. Yeah, that's I think that's correct then, because I remember there is some sort of, like, you have to do some interaction to get another interaction, but I couldn't remember what it was. Items when 4 Kings die, no matter what, summon in New Londo Ruins require summon for at the Butterfly. Okay, yeah, that sounds right. I believe that. Did I have all these already? I guess I have. Valley of Defilement. I got a comment on one of my videos that was something to the effect, like, if they are going to remaster Dark Souls 3, they should add Vagrants, and I was like, hell yeah. Actually, I don't think I responded to that comment, but I should tell them, hell yeah. Like any straight answer online, does Lingering Dragon Crest in Dark Souls 2 work on innate weapon buffs like Watcher's Greatsword? Ooh, that I have no idea off the top of my head. But if someone in chat knows... Oh, that was your comment. Awesome. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't respond in the moment, but I definitely internalized that comment, and I was thinking about it for a bit. I was like, you know what? I agree. I'm trying to figure out, like, how would you implement evil vagrants in Dark Souls 3? What would be the mechanism? Because we don't have humanity anymore. Losing a bloodstain with like 5,000 souls or more or something. You don't want it to be like a stupidly low number, but you don't want it to be a ridiculously high number such that you never see them at the start of the game at all, right? Although New Game Plus would, you know, sort of fix that problem. Dying while embered, potentially. I feel like it's a little too common, though. Like, losing a bloodstain that resulted from dying while embered. You could totally have a per area requirement, actually. And actually, yeah, as soon as I was saying, like, you don't want the early... Yeah, I was kind of already thinking the same thing. I was like, well, you can just customize it per area. Good vagrants is that there's no question how those would work. You just do the same thing where you pick a lot of items that are annoying to farm as, like, the things that can spawn them. Anything you can't easily buy in bulk, or is like very expensive. Oh, I forgot to. If I don't pop this in time, yeah, well, that's okay. This death won't create a. Oh, armor at risk. Look at that. Multiple players have to die in the same place. Do like an invisible blood pool a la Dark Souls 2. Soul of a hero to repair gear feels like overkill. The blood pool from Dark Souls 2 is so funny. They gotta bring the blood pool back. Wait, in what games are bloodstain ghost animations red? Because they were red in Demon Souls, right? And then in Dark Souls, they just become white again, like a normal player ghost. Are they red again in Elden Ring? I feel like at some point they changed them back to red, and I remember thinking, ah, finally they fixed it. But I actually don't remember exactly. Hey! We got this Vagrant here, and he's in the Black Phantom form, which we didn't even need at this location. Bloodborne is red. That is right. Yeah, that is a change for Dark Souls that I didn't agree with. Like, you know, they were already red in Demon Souls. You might as well have like the ghosts of the animations be a different color and you're interacting with the bloodstain. Hell yeah. This is the Witch Beatrice, Evil Vagrant. It's very close to her summon sign. Her summon sign's like, what, like a few feet from there? We'll play around with his draw groups in a second, because you can find some spots where he like teleports in and out of view from down here. Let's get him checked off though. This is Evil by Witch Beatrice. And this brings our total count to 70 out of 92. Okay, and then pull this back up and the game window. Here we go. Yeah, this Vagrant surprises a decent amount of players. You'll just get shot at while you're running around down here. I have stealth on, so that's why he's not reacting. Oh, look at this idiot. Oh, he broke out. I was gonna like throw a firebomb at him. Let's see. Yeah, right here, this staircase. Yeah, so you can't see it from outside this building, I remember. Yep. Oh, the elevator also de-renders from here. Look at that. Depending on what frame I do this on, like sometimes he disappears simultaneously instantly. Sometimes the visual effects portion of him is like delayed by a frame or two. I think that was all like simultaneous. That was staggered. Simultaneous. That was maybe staggered. Cool. Well, it's great to see him here. I'm just sort of concerned. I'm like, all of our bloodstains are going to the right place up here, though, for the rooftop, right? Can we see it from up here? We can. Oh, we'll just leave him be. Actually, it'd be fun to kind of just... Oh, I thought it was going to be cool and parry him first try. I'm definitely going to die to a ghost, but that's fine. Yeah, here's a better look at his location. You hate the breathing down here. It keeps forcing you into manual breathing. Oh, that's funny. Go to the cathedral just one time? Sure. raise your manual breathing and raise you manual blinking. Okay. So the good Vagrant, who we're not really looking for just yet, but he spawns in the booth to the right of this guy. Booth number 3, I'll call it. 1, 2, and 3 on the left. Another place we might see an Evil Vagrant later on in the level is, and I don't know if the draw groups would support him from down here, probably wouldn't, is kind of up on that corner somewhere. Let's take a look. Let's do some running around for a moment. So the other Evil Vagrant behind staircase. I'm talking about the staircase at the very beginning of the level. Instead of going up the staircase, you go around it. So there's another Evil Vagrant that spawns occurred over here somewhere. Never got this in the mapless run, apparently. It doesn't surprise me. Why would I be looking for something cliffside? So, classic shortcut drop-down path. But yeah, let me go lose my bloodstain where I want to. It's so quiet. Did it trigger like that ambient audio glitch of the remaster? Hey. He's here again. Oh wait, I said I was going to check and then, but whatever. I forgot to this time. Oh, I forgot to, someone in a previous stream asked, and I kind of saw it and got distracted by multiple conversations happening at once, but I remember someone asked about, like, isolating the texture in its core better. That's very easy to do in debug. Without even getting a Vagrant at all, debug has a display for the game's textures. You can just, like, cycle through the game's textures, and you can just find the texture for its core. So you can find a perfectly flat 2D, like, the full square of that texture in debug. And that one's here again, and it's the regular version instead of the Black Phantom version. So we're having really good luck with that one. But will we have good luck with this one? Thank you, El Tipejo Loco. And welcome. Tipejo. I don't know if I know what that word means. I don't think I do. Tipejo. I have to work on my Spanish. That's like a never-ending to-do list thing. Is like, I should practice Spanish sometime. Ugh. Let me up here. Yeah, basically everyone in my family speaks Spanish, so it's like embarrassing that I didn't learn more. So I gotta work on it sometime. Ugh. You're learning Spanish right now because you want to see two solar eclipses in Spain. That's awesome. Is there like a total solar eclipse that's like on the horizon that's only going to be viewable in like parts of Europe or whatever? Parts of Europe and Africa? Oh, in August of this year. That's cool. I did get to see the last total solar eclipse that happened in the US. I didn't have to drive like super far for it, which is great. The 2027 one will be over Gibraltar. That's awesome. Okay, so let's take another gander at this guy. So we do see him immediately from here. Immediately. Yeah, so I could just be jumping here every single time. That's what I'll start doing. Oh, that's why I wasn't doing that. Shit. Well, I could just jump down the elevator shaft. I'd still have to spend a few seconds making sure my bloodstain goes up the elevator shaft too. That should be fine. Like I can't ride the elevator up and then instantly jump down, I don't think. Imagine it would be nice living somewhere where you have like a lot of countries you could travel to near you. Like US, man. Sucks. We don't have that option here. So the idea of like being able to take a train to like a different country is just like, damn, that makes me jealous. I'm not as well traveled as I would like to be. Traveling expensive, but I've never been to Europe or Asia. I've never left the Americas. I've gone to South America and I've gone to Canada. So I've only gone north and south. Well, yeah, also the idea of a country having proper train infrastructure, my god. Yeah. Oops, I already popped the humanity. Oh well. Oh, I'm gonna send the elevator back up. Oopsie. International bicycle highways. Yeah, something the American mind can't possibly comprehend. That sounds awesome. Oh, shit. Well. Anytime I die here, I always panic. Like, what if this is the one time I finally had the one I was looking for? Just got your hands free to type. Tibeho is just like an extremely goofy and informal to say Tipo. So it's just the crazy guy. Gotcha. Can't think of a more informal way to say guy in English without changing the word wholesale. Let's... Two speeds. So the way to try and force a Vagrant yourself is to just keep spamming the network with them. Just keep creating Vagrants over and over and over. You can't self-spawn Vagrants, but when someone doesn't kill the Vagrant they receive, they'll send it back out to someone else. By random chance, it could be you. So you just kind of want to stack things in your favor just by grinding it for a long-ass time into existence, because the more you spam the network with, that increases the chances that someone will send it back to you. It can be a very tedious, very long grind, though. Alright, we got this one again. That's a good sign. Liechtenstein. I don't know anything about Liechtenstein. I just, it's like, to an ignorant American, it's like, oh, it's that small country. You know? Or is it Luxembourg that is free public transit? Yes, Tootsby, that sped up the process a lot. New Londo Runes has been a grind here, though. But we've had parts earlier in the stream where it was just like first attempt finding a bunch of vagrants, like really high frequency. Chat helping definitely speeds up the process a lot. But honestly, if you're doing it without the help of anyone else, if you're just like, all right, I'm gonna sit and like keep losing 5 humanity over and over, spending more than 2 hours on a single location would be like, that's when it would start feeling like you're pretty unlucky. So when I say it takes a long time, it's not in the order of like, oh, you have to do it for like 7 hours. It's like, no, like you should get an evil vagrant back like within under an hour and a half. Not even that uncommon for it to be under an hour. Good vagrants are the ones that take longer, though. That's easily going to be an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours in some locations. Like, so the concept of quitting and reloading has come up a couple times. I've decided to pass on it ultimately. Right, because that is the most efficient way to create good vagrants, for sure. If you don't care about finding a good vagrant, definitely you could just like stand in a location and keep quitting the game to the menu and reloading. Because quitting out does count. It doesn't sever the internet connection instantly. It will properly send a vagrant data out before you get back to the menu. The issue with that, though, that we were kind of concerned about is, like, time spent at the menu, though, is time you're not a viable recipient of one. And if you get a really efficient loop going where you're just, like, quitting out constantly, then it's like you're spending more than half of any given moment, like, in a window where you can't be a recipient of vagrant stuff, you know? So that starts to feel like, okay, maybe it's not the most optimal thing if you're trying to receive one, maybe. I'm stuck in a Drake. Let me out of here. So of course you could receive a good vagrant that way if in the moment while you're in game again, of course. But yeah, I don't want to tempt fate on that too much. Oh, cool. Yeah, if you're working on good vagrants by the Firekeeper soul, that'll be a huge help, because I've not been working towards that at all yet, so. For that run, I probably will rest at Firelink and just go from there, because like this, I'm not running through all of New Londo Ruins to get to that side of New Londo Ruins. Oh, there's a drift bag already waiting for me. That's nice. Hey, thanks, Grandpa Swood. Glad you got to stop by again. I'm running the wrong way for no reason. In America, we paint a line on the shoulders of our roads and call them bike lanes. That is too true. Good lord. Some places are very culturally hostile to bicycles too, which is just a bummer. Flashbacks to a friend of mine in Philly getting yelled at by a cop for not being in a bike lane on a bike, even though he was literally, it was like a newly installed like bike lane somewhere. He was in the process of turning left down a road that didn't have a bike lane, and a cop was giving him shit. And it's like, the road I'm going down no longer has a bike lane. I'm turning now onto a road that doesn't. What the fuck do you want me to do? Hey, we got a red good vagrant down there. Hold on, let's go kill some. Let's pop a transient curse and kill these ghosts so we can take a look at it. Yeah, ACAB was right. I just so many negative experiences with yeah. I don't know how you could be like a fan of cops. You know, it's just like, if you want them to be the good guys, then you should support reform and systems where they can't keep getting away with fucked up heinous shit all the time. Like, there's this sort of like the culture of worshipping cops lowers the bar for them. You know, there's a sort of like hero worship that's just like, oh, the more you do that, then the more you're saying you don't care how much cops are scumbags. So, okay. Well, that auto drops a transient curse, so, but let's take a look for this guy. Ugh. Yeah, I've been to Europe before. I've only traveled north and south, so I've been to Canada and I've been to South America. So it would be nice to travel the world some more. Okay. That's fun. That's good in Short Tower, who we've already seen. So nothing else to check off here, but we didn't get the Black Phantom version here earlier, so it's nice. Wait, pick up the thing. What thing? Yeah, I have too many experiences of cops being like power tripping weirdos. I remember this cop like harassing this lady in Philly once, and it was like so disgusting. I stood on the opposite side of the street, like pretending to use my cell phone, just as I watched, because I didn't know if he was going to like physically assault her. It was supremely fucked up. It was around Halloween. A lady was like maybe a little bit drunk, walking home from a bar, but she wasn't like walking incorrectly from what I can see. Like, did she jaywalk somewhere? Like, I don't know. People do that in Philly all the goddamn time. It's not a thing to like start harassing someone over. But so anyways, he starts like shouting at her from a distance as she's just trying to mind her own business and like walk home or whatever. And she keeps walking at first, and that makes the cop more pissed off because it's like, yeah, you have some random guy shouting at you who you don't know who it is. Like, that's kind of scary. And he gets like super pissed off about that. And he calls her bitch more than once at some point. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. And she starts like sobbing at some point and was just like, yeah, like this is someone who shouldn't be a cop. But, you know, who knows how much he got away with shit like that. Contempt of cop is the worst crime you can commit in their eyes. Yeah, absolutely. Full supporter of defunding the police here. That's like, I hate that the messaging is confusing to people who don't get it, because the response to that is like, a world without cops. Like, what are you gonna do if someone's like currently breaking into your home? Don't you want? And it's like, all right, we're not saying that like there can't ever be a situation where you might call someone who works for the government who's armed. Like, that could still exist, but the analogy I would make of it is like, let's say, like, would you hire a carpenter who only knew how to use a hammer? Never. Right? Like, you want the carpenter to bring the right tools for the job and know what they're doing. And there's so many situations where it's like, it's a call for mental health crisis, and cops are shit at de-escalating, so someone winds up getting shot. When it's like medical workers deal with that sort of shit all the time without shooting or killing people. Like, you could just specialize things. You know, what if traffic stops were done by unarmed government employees? Like, there's so many places where cops could be replaced with government workers who aren't quote-unquote cops, right? So many places you could do that. You would almost certainly save money doing that, because lawsuits would drop dramatically. Yeah. The sort of people who tend to be really terrified of the idea of defunding the police, the really sort of conservative mentality, are the people who claim to be small government supporters. Like, they don't like big government. And it's like, I can't think of anything more big government than like a heavy militarized police force that is like way bloated, horribly inefficient, makes a lot of situations more dangerous. You know, and this isn't just vibes. There's like data to back this up. There have been places that have like defunded police and sort of like replaced them with government workers, and it saves them money, and like bad incidents drop. There was somewhere that like switched to not calling the cops for like mental health calls, and the number of times those people did have to call the police for backup was like 1 in 90 something calls. And it's like, that's proof right there that you don't need to be using cops for everything. So, yeah, we unfortunately built a society where we don't value de-escalation. We don't value having more officers of the government who aren't armed and don't need to be violent. Like, things that could absolutely change. And if you're actually a supporter of a quote-unquote small government, you would back defunding the police. To not do that is deep hypocrisy. It's a grift too. It's like a lot of stuff. Organizations like ICE too, especially, like they don't have standards for who they hire. So it's the taxpayers are responsible for floating these institutions that don't need to exist and are a horrible waste of money. Oh, we got that one again down there. I just don't even know how you could have like a back the blue philosophy when like cops are allowed to like steal your money without you having committed a crime. like come on. Like I don't. Americans need to be more pissed about civil forfeiture. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. Come on, Black Phantom, Evil Vagrant. It'll happen eventually. We've been seeing this Vagrant so much. And I'm just like, are we just not losing our bloodstains in the right place to create this Vagrant? I think we totally are, though. I might have to double check in a minute, though. I know Hot Pocket Remix already checked, though. This should be good. This should be good. Oops, I'm sending the elevator back up by accident. I feel like students across America should watch Serpico. That should be like required viewing. Or The Thin Blue Line. Or both, ideally. Yeah, 70 out of 92 is really good progress. Like, this whole process was going a lot faster than I expected, but New Londo Ruins is been a struggle here. It's been a struggle. Yeah, it's longer run backs, as well as just a lot of locations here. And anytime we have to do the Black Phantom version of the Evil Vagrant, it's like, okay, that's going to be a lot more run backs. No, 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 no. Correct, there are no closer bonfires here. Okay, we got this one again, though. That's a good sign, that's a good sign. Good. Keep hoping I miss the button. Thankfully, I do most of the time. Oh yeah, technically there's one in the Abyss. Yeah, that doesn't help much. Well, it will when we, the Abyss is our next Vagrant list location. That I'll want to see a drift item in, so we'll get to the Abyss eventually. But yeah, that should be pretty easy. Oop, don't forget to send that back up. What does Dark Wraith Glory Holes mean? It's the part of the level that there's a couple of Dark Wraiths hanging out in a set of Glory Holes. How do we die in the Abyss? Thankfully, since Vagrants can't spawn there, we're not going to be spawning Evil Vagrants, so we don't have to die. We'll just be dropping items repeatedly until we see a drift item down there. Once you defeat the Four Kings, you can't die to the Abyss. Yeah, you don't need the ring to... So you can't die to the Abyss anymore. But I don't need to die anyways, so... I don't think I've ever tried dropping into the boss room after defeating the Four Kings again. Is the death by fall damage disabled always there? I don't know how that's implemented. Yeah, you can't aggro Cath, they'll just leave. They don't have any attacks. What was the logic on removing the requirement after the boss is dead? Because you might go back to do Dark Wraith stuff, and they figured it'd be too annoying and punishing otherwise. Hmm. Peter Marinker, uncredited voice of Flash Gordon. It's funny because if you said that name out of the blue, I know that's a Souls voice actor. Right? I've seen the name Peter Marinker. I don't know how to pronounce that. Marinker. But I actually don't know who he voices in the Souls game. So I'm guessing he voices Frampton Cath. In Witcher, he voices Thaler. I'm actually not familiar with Witcher, so I don't know who that is, but that is cool. Oh, that's really funny, Hot Pocket. He also found his narrator for one of the Anno games, so for a while he had a sound clip of Framp saying semen. Oh, go away, come on. Leave me be. You know it isn't, but you really thought Frampt was Patrick Stewart when you first heard him. I thought it was cool when Patrick Stewart was used in that Castlevania game, although it's hard to be that jazzed about the Lords of Shadow. What is that game called? That weird Mercury Steam non-canonical Castlevania spin-off. But it had great cast for voice acting though. That was like the one thing that was like the most hype about that game, is that Patrick Stewart and Robert Carlyle. It's fantastic. Yeah, Robert Carlyle's great. Though 28 months later or whatever that was had its issues, the intro of that movie was great. He was great in it, you know. Trainspotting. Yeah, he was the protagonist. He was the character you played as in Castlevania. He was the main character. It was really cool. Yeah, I don't know if he's done like other voice acting work outside of just like live acting, you know, but really good. Dabs or flour, edibles. Ugh. I never saw Trainspotting 2. I was gonna say T2. Is that what it's called? Which would be very funny. It'd be very funny if it was named like the Terminator. Yeah, it's T2 Trainspotting. Yeah, that's really funny. Harry Lister Smith. Is that Gwendolyn? We finally got it. Finally. Oh, I'm so happy about that. We finally got him here. Now we just have to remember how the other one was placed here. So the reason this is a unique location where we have to see both of them is it's rotated differently, but otherwise it's standing in the same spot. So it's like, wow, look at this different Vagrant spawn location that we didn't already see. It's kind of like, want. Like, that's great. That's great. I'm so happy about that. We're going to see this ghost keep coming back and forth, which is funny too. Yeah, the ghost is never gonna give up, but well, I should also say it'll keep giving up. It's arranged to not want to leave its region or something like that. Yeah, the other one's facing the wall, and this one's rotated away. Okay. What am I doing here? I'm checking off the Black Phantom. Roof Black Phantom off the list. I'm so excited that we just get to check different parts of the level now. And as much as I was paranoid about like reloading in a different map, I think I am gonna move to Firelink, because I've definitely grinded Vagrants into existence running between different maps before. Maybe it's a bit of superstition and just bad luck that it didn't work that time in the basin. Like that we really had to put a lot of effort into grinding it into existence. But like in Return to Lordran, like I would be spamming some of these Vagrants here and eventually get them back from Firelink. So it'd be nice not having to run past the Drakes every single time. All right, and let's get that master count updated to 71 out of 92. Progress, real progress. Oh, Harry Lister Smith is Gwendolyn and also Prince Lothric. I love that they have someone on hand for like the more like femme voice for a dude. It's great. Really great voice casting for Gwendolyn, right? Because if you don't know Gwendolyn's lore, a lot of people will just immediately assume Gwendolyn's a woman. Which, you know, there's gender bendy stuff there. People get really mad if you, like, they get really hung up on the male pronouns sometimes because it's like, well, it says he in the description. It's like, yeah, but the whole character's design concept is that they are gender bendy. So it is understandable that people are going to be flexible in pronoun usage. Yeah, just really great voice casting there. So Hot Pocket says, if you want to help out but don't care about seeing the Vagrants, you can drop items. Let's leave Bloodstain as soon as you get into the level from the Firelink elevator. Hell yeah. So let's see how far away this Vagrant can see me from. Let's do some messing around here. These ghosts need to calm down. So I know someone asked about this earlier, but a transient curse in that form wouldn't create a good Vagrant. I'd have to be full on transient curses, try to pick it up, turn it back into a proper item bag, and then it could spawn a good Vagrant. But that doesn't count as a drop transient curse. Okay. So yeah, let's take off visual stealth and see what happens. Oh yeah, there you go. Don't die. Okay, he's good, he's good, he's good. Yeah, look at that damage. Alright. Oh, finally get to work on this other part of the level. I'm so excited about this. It's funny, so this whole time we've been dropping items for the good Vagrant by the Dark Wraith glory holes, but we are actually still not going to work on that location yet. But that doesn't mean all that past effort is wasted. That just helps us when we eventually get there. But now we're working on good by the Firekeeper Soul and evil behind staircase. Which is, you're going to be good to go anywhere in the beginning of New Londo Ruins for both of these Vagrant locations, whether losing a bloodstain or dropping an item. You've been recording your sleep lately and you have some fucked up snoring sounds that sound just like the ghost's death gasp. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to have a sleep study done at some point, and like, I didn't used to snore when I was younger, but I do now. So, and a lot of nights I don't feel very like well refreshed. So I don't think I'm getting the best sleep I can. Who knows if I'll need like one of those sleep apnea machines or whatever they're called at some point. Yeah. So where would be a good spot to hide an item? Where, if I was trying to be very sneaky... Oh, I have to... CPAP machine, that's right. Thank you, Hot Pocket. I could always take a look myself in Smith Box, but if you happen to have it handy, Hot Pocket, does the out of bounds location work? I really suspect they didn't map Vagrant stuff to it, pardon me. But I'm wondering, I'll do it once just for fun, and this wouldn't even be the right location. I'll drop an item here as well, but yeah, we get a good Vagrant literally right by the Firekeeper Soul, so the location is extremely self-explanatory. It's literally in the room with it. But I'm trying to think, like, and then so the evil Vagrant can spawn here. This might be a waste of this particular bloodstain, because I doubt this would correspond with this location, but like, I have to know if this works or not. Like, can we drop stuff here and have them create Vagrants? Because no one's gonna find your items there. Oh, I like the ideas of the fires being blue, meaning they're magical. I mean, it makes sense. Fire should be that color. Does that correspond with the first set, or does that correspond with the glory holes? I feel like those are like the two locations that I'm... Oh, there's two collisions Z fighting there, so it's hard to know. It might not be trustworthy because we don't know like which one it's pairing with. Is that the issue? Behind the loser wall is pretty well hidden, but that's not going to correspond to this location up here, though. Oh, you know what? This seems like a pretty good spot to drop an item, anyways. That's not bad. Oops. That's okay. My bloodstain won't wind up down here, so no problem with that. Oh, we'd have to walk a certain distance past the tower. Yeah, that's too much effort. And yeah, and I could quit and reload to fix the top-down camera too, but like the thought of it is fun. But yeah. No, I think I have a pretty good hiding spot for the bag there. Oh, definitely hiding items just as best as we can from a general player base. So yeah, definitely quote-unquote casuals. That weird slow turn that you can do when you're blocking with a great sword is weird in Dark Souls 1. Sometimes, depending on when you... Yeah, you get... like, I'm holding down, so I should be walking, but you get stuck. I'm not like starting to walk after blocking. I'm holding down that whole time, but I'm not. See, depending on when you... Yeah, what is that? Like, I'm stuck. Not stuck. Not stuck. Stuck. Isn't that weird? Yeah, now we're reloading in a different map, but I want to give that a try again, because I've definitely self-spawned Vagrants this way before, like during Return to Lordran, so I'm just hoping it was bad luck in the basin, and I'm willing to give it a shot here again, not having to run across past all the drakes and go up the elevator in the ghost house. I'm just like, yeah, this is way more chill. But yeah, ideally every time we want reload and Firelink, I should be like running out of there as quickly as possible to spend the least amount of time in a different map that we can. After I fall after the evil vagrant, there's a whole little piece of collision off to the right. Yeah, if I'm thinking of the same spot, I think I might have found that, talked about that in my Invisible Walls video. I'm not sure. Yeah, because you can definitely survive dropping down somewhere else, kind of. Yes, you can get more than one figure at a time. Absolutely. We've had that happen in the stream a couple times. I don't remember which sessions, but it happened in... it happened at one point in the Painted World, and it happened in Tomb of the Giants. Oh, there's some nooks right in the area where I'm falling off. Interesting. Ulasil as well. Yeah, Ulasil, we got a couple Vagrants at the same time as well there. That's right. I'll be back in just a moment here. Ugh. Cool. I went to double check that the boyfriend stepped out to go hang out with some of our friends who live down the road, so I'm going to hit the drums for a minute, kind of wake myself back up, get the blood flowing. Again, apologies, it's going to sound like shit through this mic, but yeah. I'm gonna play this drum beat I've been working on. If you watched my video before, it's this linear triplet beat where it's like right hand, left foot, bass drum, in triplets. But I came up with a variation where I click the hi-hat in a different time signature. So that's kind of fun. The hi-hat will be in 3/4, while the rest of the kit is in 4/4. So it's like a sort of conflicting set of rhythms. Yeah, I'm gonna put the tambourine on the hi-hat here. And then for the next variation, I try to move the hi-hat to 2 different beats. So that was clicking on beats like 1 and 2, but now I'll do like 2 and 3. Okay. Enough of that. That's good to help wake me up a bit. What about musical instruments in Lordran? Yeah, Yeah, this is a pretty musicless world, huh? We don't really find... They don't do the Elden Ring thing, where there's like diegetic music. Hey, oh, some put a strange creature ahead message here. Yeah, we should be able to see it from outside the room without going into it. I don't think it's not tucked like into a weird corner of the room. I think it's dead center. So I don't think I actually have to run all the way into the room to check for that good Vagrant. I think we're good. Oop, there we go. Drink any tea or coffee before stream? Not opposed to the idea, but yeah, I don't really drink coffee very much. I did it at my last job because I needed something to help, like, give me energy and make me stay awake, but yeah, normal day-to-day life stuff. Don't really drink coffee. It's in the center towards the back. Okay, cool. Awesome. Hopefully it doesn't have a weird draw group thing where it doesn't, like, you know, pop into existence when you... I seem to remember seeing it when approaching it before, though. I think running into the room is unnecessary. Drummer's controller stream when? I don't have a setup for that. God, could you imagine? Someone's done that before. That wouldn't be a first time thing. But I don't have an electronic kit anymore. I just have my acoustic kit, so I'm kind of like, that would be, I would have to like rig it with triggers. Which, like, you know, electronic kit is much better because you have the cymbals as well, electronic cymbals that you could be using as inputs. Like, no one's putting triggers on acoustic cymbals. I would at some point like to learn to buy mics for my kit and learn production related stuff because I've never done that before. I don't know anything about that. But it would be nice. I miss doing music stuff, but I don't particularly miss like playing live shows very much. I did a lot of that when I was younger, and I'm just kind of like at the point where I'd like to be involved with music projects again, but I could just be... The idea of having like my own recording setup where I can do as many takes as I like, that I'm not like using someone else's studio time, that would be extremely cool. Hey, thanks, Waluigi. I tried to do a very cursed variant of that beat where I started playing in 5/4 with my left foot as well, and like with the 3/4 against 4/4 beat, you just get into a flow state where like I'm not struggling to count both time signatures at the same time. I'm just kind of all of my other limbs are just the parts in 4/4 muscle memory, and the weird 3/4 part going against it. I just sort of sing without counting. I just kind of think in my head dot 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 dot, and just do it. When I try playing in 5/4 though, it is frantically like counting in 5/4 the whole time. It is taking like every bit of mental energy to be like. I was doing the 5/4 beat I was doing was like 3 hi-hat clicks followed by 2 rests. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it was just sort of like in my head having to constantly say that to myself while I'm playing it. As drummer, how tired are you people referencing Whiplash? I'm gonna go against the grain of other drummers here and say that movie was great. Drummers love to nitpick that movie for like a variety of reasons, but no, that was a good movie. That part of my brain can turn off and enjoy the narrative. Because I saw a lot of weird reactions to that movie, being like, "Oh, this isn't realistic," and it's like, yeah, the movie isn't trying to convey. It's not saying like this is what music school is like. It's a particularly heinous story of an abusive teacher, and the fact that it. Like, when I was in a high school jazz band, I had the band teacher who was a bit of a jerk at times and was known for being kind of a hard ass. He did the thing where he would tell me like that wasn't. I was speeding up and slowing down too much, and he did the thing like, are you playing too fast or are you playing too slow? Just like in the movie, like he put me on the spot and didn't just fucking tell me, and I'm just like. The very specific anxiety, like, is so spot on, actually. Like, so drummers be like, oh, this is unrealistic. I'm like, I don't know. It's an exaggerated version of reality, kind of. I get it, man. Like... yeah, I thought it was a great movie. And in terms of, like, how realistic the drumming is, with, like, being able to tell when it differs... Maybe just other media has set such a low bar of like you're watching someone and you could tell like the playing is extremely fake, and this is a couple tiers above those. You know, like, you can nitpick, like, oh, yeah, he's not really playing that part, but it's like, oh, they try it a lot harder, though, than, like, a lot of other things. But there is, like, if you're watching, like, again, because I downloaded TikTok basically just to make Souls content on it, which, again, I'm way overdue for. I don't do it regularly at all. I just kind of sporadically post stuff there. Same as shorts on YouTube, right? Like, anything I post as a short on YouTube also gets posted to TikTok. I didn't previously use TikTok, though. I was just, like, very content creator brain, like, okay, I guess I should get the thing, and I can help sort of cross-promote. You know, at the end of my TikToks, it'll say for more Souls deep dives, visit youtube.com/delivery or whatever. So I downloaded the app, and at first was like so baffled by all of the random stuff that it was feeding my way. I had no interest in any of it, but people were swearing like, hey, the algorithm is really good. Like, just keep using it, and if you see anything you like at all, just like it, and eventually, like, it is going to feed you the stuff that you want to see. Like, whether or not you think you want to see it or not, like, the algorithm is scary good at that. And yeah, now it's just a constant feed of drumming videos. Like, so TikTok's pretty great for me personally. I know there's, you know, things to criticize about the algorithm and sketchy nature of social media, but it's not bad for me. It's an easy thing to make fun of, like, oh, these popular social media apps that are, you know, for popular with the kids and teenagers or whatever. But yeah, it's just feeding me drumming videos nonstop. It's pretty great. But this is all to say that drumming videos are constantly filled with Whiplash references, though. You can't escape it. Everyone's being like, not quite my tempo. Yeah, TikTok for me is largely drumming videos and like cute animals. Now, avoiding anything with infinite scrolls is a good idea, though. Yeah, I get that. It's good to have a goal when you're on the internet. That's probably like a healthier way to use it. But hey, I've discovered great drummers because of it, though. You know, people who I like watching their videos now, and I wouldn't have found out about them otherwise. I also think it's incredibly wild how, again, it's easy to be cynical about like what's popular on these things and whatnot, but like, I was never expecting an obscure Aphex Twin track to like go viral on TikTok. There's a time because there's a Aphex Twin track that gets used in a lot of videos. I'm forgetting the name of it off the top of my head. It's more like ambient kind of track. It's not like, you know, Come to Daddy or Window Licker or anything. And it was like the second most popular song on TikTok, with like hundreds of millions of plays or something insane. And I'm just like, yo, conventional media was never going to lead to this happening. I forgot to pop More Humanity. There was never a scenario when that song was going to blow up on traditional radio, you know? So, like, that's kind of wild. So I try not to always be too cynical about how people discover music and how things go viral and get attention, because it's just like, that was never happening for that Aphex Twin track in any other context. It became popular as like a backing sound for people using their videos, and it's like, if you told me like 20 years ago, like, hey man, like, more people are gonna know this song than like Come to Daddy or Window Licker, like in the year 2025 or whatever, this one random ambient Aphex Twin track is gonna be getting like hundreds of millions of plays or whatever. It's like, what the fuck? I never got into Instagram. I tried a while back. I was gonna make an account where the idea was it was gonna focus around like psychedelic looking old video game visuals. I was gonna try to find like moments from video games where like the screen does crazy stuff, or like so it's gonna be like retro video games and with some sort of like psychedelic angle to it. And I was following every guide possible to post videos, and just they never worked. Like I was following all of like the recommended file format, you know, file sizes, like everything, and it just never worked for me. I was like, so I instantly gave up. I was like, well, fuck this. That's one thing I hate, is the culture of like making it really hard to do things on your computer. The idea is like, oh, it's a social media app, so we're gonna like cater the interface to like doing everything from your phone. It's like, okay, but like actual content creators like have to produce everything on a computer first, right? Like, am I gonna send the files to my phone, then try to upload them from my phone? That's what I do for TikTok uploads. It's just like stupid. Like, I don't know. So I remember getting just really annoyed by that and be like, all right, I'm out of here. I know I wasn't using Instagram correctly. You're supposed to be uploading pictures and videos you take with your phone, but like, I was going to make edited videos on my computer and then upload them to Instagram, damn it, but I couldn't figure it out. I haven't really been checking for vagrants in here, so I should start doing a better job of that. But it's very early in the run, so unlikely that we've missed any in here. Now I'll keep a better eye out, though. Oh yeah, people into semi-unknown stuff sometimes get upset when the masses discover it. Yeah, that's lame as hell. No, that's always like, hey, if people discover a thing that's cool, like, that's a good thing. It's also a silly thing to be judgmental about it, because you yourself are guilty of having done the same thing with some other media. Like, you know, like, oh, I like this band when I've been listening to them since the 90s. I didn't need to learn about them through TikTok or whatever. And it's like, okay, there's shit from the 70s that you only know of because you saw it in a fucking movie. Shut up. There's some classic rock that you're only familiar with because you know, like, whatever. Oops, don't have enough humanity for this run. It's time for another duping run, but I'll drop another drift item bag. It's fun seeing all the people jump over here. I agree. Yeah. Savadius, sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, in chat said, it's a shame you can't just trivially dupe Firekeeper souls like you can in Prepare to Die edition here. Absolutely. When I did self-spawning of Vagrants in Prepare to Die edition, it was 100% all about duping Firekeeper souls. That was way more convenient. For a funny example of a song like blowing up in popularity in a very different context is Uncontrollable Urge by Devo is used as the intro to what's that horrendous MTV show. Ridiculousness? Ridiculous? I don't remember what the show is called. But you know what? It's like Get That Bag. It's not the original version of the song. It's a cover of it, but Devo covered it themselves. They covered their own song. And from what my understanding is, like, that's the most money they've ever made doing anything. Like, it is insane. Like, it's just a song that they wrote decades ago, getting a second life as the theme song to an incredibly popular MTV show. As much as, like, the vibes of that show are, like, kind of odious to me and I don't really dig it, part of me respects the fact that, like, I mean, it sucks because, like, MTV should be a music channel, but since we've long since accepted its fate as not being about music, it is very funny to me that, like, if I stay somewhere in a hotel and just, like, turn MTV on, like, that show is fucking on all the goddamn time and it always feels like a marathon. I'm like, this one man took over MTV. Like, what percentage of MTV's airtime is just that one show? Like, that is ludicrous. That is absolutely ludicrous. So you know what? Whatever. The show, the channel sucks, but, like, some people taking over the network, getting extremely lucky is very funny to me, and I kind of don't totally hate it at the same time. It is depressing that they made all the spin-off channels, like here's MTV2 and all of these other things that it's like, okay, cool, they'll have side channels that are actually for music, and then all of those eventually shut down too. It was, like, truly pathetic. And when those channels were younger, they started off, like, not having commercials and everything, and then they really started upping the amount of commercials, then they started sneaking in a TV show here and there, and it's just, the slop took over again. I was like, man, it was great in the early 2000s being able to watch MTV2 and a lot of channels like that and just watch, like, music videos a lot. I did a lot of that back then. There was MTV2, there was Fuse, which used to have a different, was it Much Music or something like that? Was that a Canadian music channel? There's a variety of channels that I would, like, flip around and cool shit would show up on there. You know, it'd be like At the Drive-In, or someone would have music show up, and I was like, yeah, this rules. Duping. What? Okay, pretend to buy the glitched longsword, walk away, brightness dupe. Alright. Pretend to buy the glitched longsword, walk away, brightness dupe. I'm getting pretty good at the brightness dupe. Both of those were first try. TV is still huge, right? Streaming hasn't killed it yet. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's got to be such, like, a wasteland. I don't know. As soon I've not lived with cable as an adult, and I'm kind of ahead of the curve on that because I feel like I'm probably older than the average person in the chat here. I'm be turning 40 soon, but yeah, as soon, like, in my early 20s, just like as soon as I moved out, I was like, I have the internet. Why would I pay for cable? What the fuck? If I want to watch quote unquote traditional media, I'm gonna buy a movie or rent a movie. TV, like, who gives a shit? If a show's good enough, it'll eventually come out to DVD, and that's how I'll watch it. I don't watch any sports. That's the thing. I kind of get, if you're really into sports, it's like there's a stranglehold on. Yeah, that's what's keeping cable a thing. Which, God, it would suck to be a sports fan now, I would imagine, right? Like, the way it's been taken over by gambling. Drew Gooden had a really good recent video about the decline of ESPN as just total, like, slop content, very much centered around at the same decline that a lot of news networks did, where it's like, let's get as much attention as possible just by putting people on here who are just like arguing constantly, and you know, you're getting people on to talk about the games who like aren't even paying attention to them or even watching them, and it's like, yo, what the fuck? Like, like if you're actually a sports nerd, you actually care about like an analysis of the gameplay, like why would you watch ESPN? There's any other internet TV show, YouTube channel, podcast that's going to do an infinitely better job.
Oi.
Oi. Yeah, the gambling stuff is crazy to me. Like that is so, like, I remember growing up, like, gambling was always that thing that's like, well, it's kind of illegal in a lot of ways, so you got to go to like Vegas or like specific casinos that are, which, you know, not that that was necessarily moral either, but, you know, doing it on like Native American land. There's a lot to unpack there as well, but like, you know, it was a thing that was very, like, sports betting was illegal, you know, growing up. Like that was like thing, oh, that's that illegal thing that you're not supposed to do, and now it's just like, yeah, fuck it, we're just gonna we're gonna make it like extremely, we're gonna make it take over how like sports is even like talked about on cable networks. Like insane.
I'll be seeing you then. Be careful.
We got the gorgeous view message again with the almost 30,000.
What?
Okay, pretending by the longsword, walk away.
Oi.
Oi. I don't know if that... I screwed up the button inputs, okay. Purchase item.
Oi.
I don't know if I have to like redo it if I fuck it up. Pretending to buy the longsword. I don't really know the specifics of this glitch. Yeah, I probably don't have to do that every time, but I don't know. I don't know. Well, I may as well top off the Eyes of Death, even though I don't
Well,
necessarily really need to. Okay.
Oi.
Oi. No. What happens if I just try doing brightness do from here? Does it still work? I'm just doing the brightness do wrong every single time, though. No, it doesn't. Okay, so I do have to do it right from... Okay. I'm sure if like doing it once per encounter was good enough, but yeah.
Oi.
Oi. Could you help us out, Cully? Or whatever Bach says. The 90s action movie, The Last Boy Scout, the bad guy's plan was all about legalizing sports betting. That's so funny. Different times. Have a good night, Soldier Eye. Thanks for stopping by. Did I rest at the bonfire here? If you ever see a streamer make like what looks like a really obvious mistake in a video game, you're like, what are they thinking? You know, reading chat really breaks your brain, and you have like, you can't. Bruce Willis, best performance in he's great in Pulp Fiction. He's fantastic in that movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah, I remember him being really good in it. He is great in The Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense absolutely holds up. That is a fantastic movie. It's almost unfortunate how much the discourse centers around the movie's twist, because it's like... I understand that it had a very strong twist that a lot of people loved and everything. Like, I get that it had impact, but, like, the movie is not even remotely ruined by once you've already seen it. You can absolutely rewatch the movie. It's just an incredibly good movie. Great performances by Bruce Willis and Toni Collette. Really good. Just a very good... When you have a movie that, like, where just scenes of people are talking are good, you know? Like, that's, like... a lot of horror, quote-unquote, horror films, like, they need to hold on to your attention by doing scary stuff all the time. It's just like, no, the movie has, like, a sad, oppressive vibe throughout, even when the spooky stuff isn't happening. Very well done. Oh, those weren't the twin humanity, so I gotta pop a couple more. Yeah, the twist wouldn't have had the impact it did if the movie wasn't as great as it was. Absolutely. Yeah, that is a solid movie. If you haven't seen it in forever and are wondering how it holds up, very good. Where did M. Night drop the juice that they put in that movie? Yeah, that's you know, I still haven't seen Signs, though. And I've heard Signs was good, so... you know, and The Village was okay. Even decent? I remember it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I think people were growing tired of the twist stuff, and yeah, like, the twist in it wasn't that hard to see coming, but, like, I don't know. I hated The Lady in the Water, though. The Happening was an interesting mess of a movie. He said he was trying to make like a B movie, and I believe him because it's ridiculous, but I don't know. Knowing that it's how bad it is, though, like I should rewatch it at some point because it might be very funny. Yeah, no, I never saw Moonlighting. Yeah, the idea that, like... Yeah, I don't recall Bruce Willis from the pre-Die Hard times. So knowing that people back then were like, oh, the rom-com guy in an action movie? No way. Like, it's so funny that that's a thing. Unbreakable is great. Yeah, Unbreakable is really good. It has signs of, like, some issues starting to cry. I seem to remember some of, like, Samuel L. Jackson's expositions kind of wearing me a little bit thin. It's being like, they were, like... The vibes of this movie were really good, but then you kind of pushed it a little too much, and you're doing some of, like, the... what I felt was, like, the bad writing that a lot of his other movies fall into. So there's glimpses of that in there, but that is still a great movie overall. Yeah, Split was good too, and we don't talk about Glass. Yeah, Glass was just like, I remember really liking Split a lot, and he got the cinematographer from It Follows on it. It's just a really good looking movie. And what's his name did a great performance in Split. Why am I blanking on his name? Young Xavier. I would know his name any other Oh, James McAvoy. Yeah, he's great. Platinum Kush. Hey, Losery. I just found Alana the Squalid Queen in Dark Souls 2, and on her very first summon, she summoned the 3 piggies. That is really good luck. That's great. That's incredible. I loved making the pig video. That's like one of my favorite of my own videos. I was really happy with that. It was a very fun thing to research and do, and... Ooh, a drift item back. Oh, as a non-native English speaker, it is weird to hear Bruce Willis's real voice for the first time. He's not this deep melodic baritone, really average voice. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought if dubs tried to make him sound like really like ultra masculine, like yeah, he's just a very normal voice. Yeah. Yeah, figuring out, it was really cool discovering a way to like force the pigs to spawn. That was a very cool, like, going back and forth. I'm like, how does this event work? Like, what is going on here? Absolutely, that was great. And then you know, figuring out that we could force them so that they could be like the only thing in the queue. Because she's already summoned Velstadt and the skeletons, and like getting her to do that summoning attack right as Velstadt dies, so it thinks Velstadt is still in the game and the pigs are the only thing that can spawn. Like, I keep forgetting to check for the good Vagrant. You left them alive, so it made the fight easy, and you beat her before she could summon anything else. Yeah, that rules. Ideal outcome for that fight, really. Did I mention whether it's possible to soft lock yourself out of the pickaxe quest by despawning the pigs? No, I never talked about that, but that shouldn't be possible, because you could just join Covenant of Champions to undespawn everything, right? I'm not misremembering that, right? Covenant of Champions brings everything back. It doesn't just freeze like the enemy counter system. Even if something was cleared to 0, I think it brings them back. And that's not a Covenant you can possibly lose out on, because there's no like Covenant leader to kill. Is this a cheat because I still have the spell on? I don't have any. I haven't cast any spells. These are just rings. This is Ring of Fog and Silvering Dragon Crest Ring. I felt so bad for someone, but it was very funny that seeing someone's like... Someone was very confused about the enemy despawning that I was talking in the video, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, was this patched in the game? There's no way the game didn't originally work like this, because the enemies never despawned for me, and I definitely killed them more than 12 times. So that's when I was like, oh, I like, hate to break it to you, but you probably joined the Covenant of Champions without realizing it. And they're like, no, I definitely didn't do that, because I didn't get super far in the game before quitting it. And I'm like, oh no, they definitely joined the Covenant of Champions. And I wonder if, you know, maybe they would have bounced off Dark Souls 2 regardless. But the fact that they quit is like... it makes me. They were confident that something was wrong with what I was talking about with how enemies despawning because they thought it wasn't in the game, and they were certain that they did certain boss run backs a lot more than 12 times or whatever, consistently killing the enemies every time. And then I tried explaining, hey, you joined the Covenant of Champions, and they're like, that can't possibly be true because I didn't get far into the game. And I'm like, oh no, you thought it was like a late game Covenant? Oh no. you definitely joined that Covenant without realizing it. And the fact that you gave up on the game on your playthrough probably speaks to growing tired of the tedium because the game was harder than it was supposed to be. Like, just double whammy. That's frustrating. But also very funny. Why does the water turn bright green when we hit that weird kill plane collision? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what's going down on there. Like, yeah, that's a good question. Do you know what's going on in Hot Pocket with stuff like that? Is it loading like a different area, like a different color filter? I truly have no idea what's going on there. Yeah, I was wondering about that. Like, you know, like it might be good to ask from SoftServe. Yeah, because that's really weird. That's really strange. Oh yeah. King Boar probably also knows. Yeah, he's been working with weird lighting stuff. Yeah. Oops. Again, it's not the twin humanity. Gotta use 5, not 3. That's an interesting question, Platinum Kush. I forget how Covenant of Champions buffs enemies exactly. But yeah, it would scale with, like, the Ascetic or New Game Plus cycle as well. Like, it's just gonna... they'll be, like, doubly buffed or whatever. Oh, does it increase it by a New Game Plus level? No. Yeah, it wouldn't be following that exact same formula. I'm saying that with confidence, even though I don't actually know how it works, so that's kind of, like, silly of me, but pretty confident it's not doing that. That would seem like a very unlikely way for them to implement it. Oh yeah, what did I mean by the Dark Wraith glory holes? Yeah, the ones that are down in the booths down there. Yeah, no, in Dark Souls 2, the Covenant Champions buff is easily found in some param somewhere. Yeah, it's gotta be. Dark Souls 2 is so good about having, like, parameters for everything. Yes, Duke's Archives will be after New Londo Ruins. Exactly. Yep. Following the map numbers with, again, with Inner Londo skipped, just because I plunged into darkness, and I am not. We'll save that for New Game Plus. Because respawning there will be a nightmare. Any sign of a good Vagrant? Not yet. Oh, I forgot to pop humanity. Let's get it in before you get hit by a ghost. There we go. Oh, there is a gramophone in the Duke's Archives. Music in the game confirmed. You're right. Is that the only instrument on all of Dark Souls? Maybe Dark Wraith Glory Hole started as Drake stables, but they were set free before the flood. Yeah, I love that. I want to believe. They don't really look like animal stables is the thing. Like that's the first thing that comes to mind with having like small wooden rooms down there, but like the fact that they just have like vertical doorways and no like barricades of any kind, like no. Oh. Like, I don't think Drake Stables is actually what the developers were thinking, but is it the best answer that we can come up with? Probably. Like, it's not about developer intent, who cares? But, like, the takeaway as we see the game now, like, I think that's cool. Yeah, Sekiro and Elden Ring have instruments in them, but yeah, anything with souls in the title. I'm trying to think if there's anything beyond like that weird gramophone-looking thing in the Duke's Archives prison, and I don't think there is. Oh yeah, McCad. Yeah, it's not possible to do a clear all origin run, unfortunately. I remember people tried to do that when the game was new, way back, and instantly found that the enemies just respawned. Just unloading a map and coming back. I want to say like Lobos might have tried it. But yeah, sadly no way to really do that. Lobos did wind up doing it. He just kept track of all the enemies to make sure he killed them all. Yeah, that's the only thing you could. Yeah. Hot Pocket, I have an extremely cursed mod idea to facilitate a kill all enemies playstyle. This would be... just thinking of this concept now is like, how difficult would this be to mod? And I'm assuming incredibly difficult. Right? This is not... And it shouldn't exist. It'd be way too much effort for like a quote-unquote challenge run that isn't even really a challenge, so like who would care? Could you make an event for every single enemy in the game so that they permanently change color when you kill them once? Right? So like you could give this guy the color of like the oh, his corpse just... Well, yeah, there are gaps in the collision here or whatever, or mesh holes or whatever. Look at that disgusting mesh hole in the environment. Yeah, I'm imagining like if you set up an event for literally every individual enemy. Yeah, if you did that, you could just also just make them not respawn. It would be funny if they turned a different color though. It'd be like check them off, like that it's been killed, but you don't like make it as easy by grinding them. Because I don't know, it's something I'm picturing in my head is like you kill them and then they get the color of the dragon PvP, whatever, like that weird silver color that I love. You can't make them red like a Gravelord Black Phantom because like we see that elsewhere. You could theoretically turn them at any color if you know how to mod like those shaders, but I have no idea if that's like more complicated like EXE sort of stuff. I have no idea. There is a mystery that I don't know how it works, which is I don't know how blue invaders in Dark Souls work color-wise. It is very confusing. In debug, if we were to... And I didn't pop all the humanities that I was supposed to. In debug, you can choose your character type. So you can look like you're human, you can turn white so you look like a co-op summon, you can turn gold so you look like that kind of co-op summon, you can turn red like an invader, you can turn that weird silver color to look like a dragon spirit. Dragon spirit is the phrase I was looking for. So you can go through all of the character types, see yourself with like every shader, multiplayer shader applied. Blue never shows up. It doesn't exist as its own character type. Which is like, excuse me? Like what? There are blue invaders in this game though. What is that? And I remember going to check it, and it shares the same character type as the red invaders. And I just like, I don't understand. I don't... Huh? Now, I know a way in debug to like change the colors of materials or whatever. So I found a way where you can do that. The header for my YouTube channel, like the banner on my YouTube channel, is like the crow looking a weird color. The crow and Firelink. And that didn't reflect anything mechanically, like that's in the game normally, but I was just like, I don't know, I thought it was a cool looking screenshot, so I just threw that up. So you could use that to change a fandom color, and I'm like, is the game doing something weird in the EXE to dynamically be like, okay, this is supposed to be a blue invader, so we're going to load the character type that by default would make them appear red, but now we're just forcing some color filter shaders to like give it a different color now? Weird. I don't understand. It's like blue invaders are red but blue. I don't understand why you wouldn't... You already made all of the character types for all the different colors. Why wouldn't you just make another permutation for blue? It's so strange. It looks like I'm doing detective vision analysis on the crow. Exactly, yeah, that's sort of what I was going for. Like, I'm like, oh, this looks like a cool, weird, like, analytical thing, but it has no, like, I wasn't actually researching anything or doing anything useful when I took that screenshot. But I think it communicates well enough, like, hey, I'm going to be poking around in these games and showing weird things in these games well enough, so... Oh, and also your bounding boxes are also, enabled in that image as well, right? Yeah. I wish I could do it right now, but again, I don't have debug installed during the Vagrant run. I actually don't remember where to change those colors in debug, though. I'd have to, like, poke around and, like, rediscover it. I don't think it's that hard to find, but... It's not like a per enemy or per entity sort of thing. It's more of, like, a master list of materials, and you just go... And once you find that list, if you're trying to mess with the look of a certain thing, you just kind of like mess with everything until you find what you're looking for. Yeah, I don't even know what a bounding box is for. Like, I get you're drawing a box around all of the most distant points of an object, right? So you're creating like the broadest region, the scale that wraps around something. Oh, geez, you got the good Vagrant? Oh, I see earlier in chat someone was... Dark Souls 3 does have chimes, so this could be like an instrument. Hammer on an anvil is maybe an instrument. I mean, that has been done musically. No one has anvils lying around. The more common thing is a brake drum from a car, though. Like that's an actual percussion thing that you'll find. I remember playing a brake drum part in high school band. Hit it with a small hammer. Hot Pocket Remix. You know, if you ever figure out how the Dark Moon shader works, you get to make a thumbnail with "This man is blue for an amazing reason." Oh, I love that. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I should ask the modding Discord if anyone knows more about how that works, because I'm very curious. I remember being so confused by that. This Vagrant despawns quickly. Okay, cool, cool. Keep an eye out. Isn't Loretta's bone... Loretta's bone is an instrument, isn't it? Oh, that's so cool. I forgot that the Avalon item description. Despite its use as a weapon, this crossbow is also a priceless work of art and it bears resemblance to a musical instrument. Yeah, like it totally, the design is definitely inspired by like stringed instruments like violins and stuff like that. That is so cool. You know, having your bones turn into a flute after you die would be, like, pretty cool. Well, Demon Souls straight up had singing in it, too, you know, so that's, but... Oh, 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 oh. Just endlessly forever. Something like that. You gotta turn your ashes into dope-ass family swords? Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, Dancer of the Boreal Valley. What would you be dancing to? Yeah, church bells don't count as a musical instrument. I mean, they can, though. Well, you only got one, though. At that point, it's just a sound effect generator. You need a series of bells with different pitches. Yeah, when you got one, if you just got one, that only makes one tone, though. That's just, you're doing it to be heard, not to make melody. I mean, you could be making melody to be heard as well, so those aren't mutually exclusive concepts, but... Oh, it's not music if it has no melody? Wow, gatekeeping. I mean, that's definitely not true, because a drum solo is music, but, you know. I want to see a game like this get weird with diegetic music. Like, they did cool stuff in Elden Ring with the guys playing the instruments, but, like, just go wild with it. Like, I want From Software to make a Castlevania game, and then in the Castlevania game, there should be a boss fight in a church, and there should be someone playing an organ, and that person should be in the room. You should be able to see them up on the thing. A skeleton playing the organ, and that should be the boss fight music. Don't layer on any other instruments. How cool would that be? That would be awesome. We've already had an example of organ-only music in the Souls game. Demon Souls did it twice, right? With King of Land and also in the Nexus when you get to the end game. Extremely cool. Dude, there should be like a boss fight in a concert hall, and like a giant enemy drops into the room and like shatters all of like the chairs or benches or whatever. So you're just kind of fighting in the middle of the room, but there's like ghosts on stage, like playing the harpsichord and shit. Like that would be. I want that so bad. Something like that in a Castlevania game would be extremely cool. It'd be so funny, you just have to fight the entire orchestra. Oh, actually make them the enemies and not just people hanging out. The boss is really easy at first, but then the whole backup band comes for the second phase. Yeah, let's go. That'd be great. I do want the Souls games to get more bold with the instrumentation again in their soundtracks. Like, I want really distinct choices, like, again, organ only for a track, and just to have much more diversity from song to song, where the arrangements can be drastically different. You know, one boss fight is a full orchestra, another boss theme is like more like chamber music. Another boss fight is literally just pounding drums and no melodic instruments like at all. I'm not gonna pop those in time. No. I would have to listen to that again, Sabbath Tower. I didn't. Everdark Adel, who I only ever fought once, had electric guitar. I didn't even notice, or I was probably so distracted by the fight. That's cool. That's a bit different for them. But yeah, to bring Lords of Shadow back into the discussion, Castlevania Lords of Shadow, I remember being really disappointed with the music when it came out. You know, you're making a Castlevania game. They go really like orchestral, but movie soundtrack orchestral, and a lot of the music just fades into the background. It's very generic, and like some of the discourse when it came out was very infuriating to me. because there was like a false dichotomy in some of the discourse where people being like, oh, well, they're going for like a more like mature aesthetic, so this isn't a Castlevania where they're gonna have like pop funk, baroque pop funk or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but like there are other, you can make melodic music really catchy. I use there's the PS2 game Lament of Innocence. There's a song called Ghostly Theater that I keep using in like all of my dissected videos. I use it in a lot of my videos. That is an orchestral song that has like no modern instrumentation in it. And it is extremely catchy. It is so epic and memorable. And it's like you can make orchestral music that doesn't just fade into the background. Orchestral music can have a strong identity, a very strong presence. So that sort of like false choice between forgettable, background, generic sounding movie score, or it's like, or it'd have to be like, rock or pop instrumentation. It's like, no, you could still limit yourself to classical instrumentation and make music that stands the hell out, which music in a Castlevania game should stand out. It is, talk about failing the assignment. Like, the whole thing of a Castlevania game is you're going to walk away from it like singing songs from the game you played. If you make a Castlevania game where you can't do that, you just screwed up. Other good examples, I might bring it up on stream and play it in a little bit or whatever. The name entry for Portrait of Ruin, one of the DS games, like, that is such a good, it's a bit lo-fi because it's like, the lower quality samples, but like, again, perfect example of, it's trying to imitate like orchestral sounding sounds, and it's like, this is the blueprint for what orchestral Castlevania music could sound like, or should sound like. Hell, I mean, we Long Library from Symphony of the Night, like. I could understand the hesitation to use like rock instrumentation in a more like, again, if it was like a Souls-like Castlevania, wanting to stick to more orchestral, that wouldn't bother me at all. I get some people would be like, oh, who cares? Just put in the rock metal soundtrack and do that sort of stuff. I understand the inclination to want to not go that route. Do that like in a 2D Castlevania. I don't know. But yeah, there's so much you can do. You can still have extremely catchy driving music, regardless. Have I heard of the game All Walls Must Fail? I have not. It's a turn-based cyberpunk game where you play as an agent investigating gay bars, and every beat of the music in the bar is a turn? What? Okay, that sounds wild. Holy shit. Yeah, Harmony of Dissonance is an interesting one. That one also grew on me a little bit. So yeah, some of the compositions are great. It's just so weird because like, it's so lo-fi and simplistic in its sound design that it's wild. It is so wild, and it's not low quality just because they use the Game Boy to make 8-bit like Game Boy sounds or whatever. It's like, no, the NES soundtracks have much more intricate sound design. Harmony of Dissonance is like a wall of sound, and it's like, oh my god, like, what? So it's a step back from the NES soundtracks in terms of like how an 8-bit soundtrack could sound, you know. But the original Game Boy soundtracks Konami was never, I'm gonna say it, they were never that good with Game Boy audio. Maybe I'm overlooking some soundtracks that people like, and a lot of it, you know, a lot of people have nostalgia for the original Castlevania games and stuff like that, and classic Castlevania Konami games on the original Game Boy. But just compare the sound to Konami's NES soundtracks, it's night and day. They shredded on the NES, and they shrugged with the Game Boy. You know? Like, they just didn't know what they were doing with the Game Boy. It feels like they're just kind of like, yeah. And, a lot of original classic Game Boy soundtracks that were that way, though. Same thing is true for Capcom. They made killer NES soundtracks. Their Game Boy versions are just so more simplistic in the sound design. There's just so much more bland, less dynamic, less interesting instrumentation. A lot of those companies did not step up to the plate and say, you know what, we're gonna like really figure out the Game Boy audio and go to town with it. They didn't do that. New Messiah and Battle of the Holy are peak songs. Yes, that is true. I did upload the Game Boy soundtracks in full to YouTube. I sampled them off hardware. I sampled them off of a sound modded Game Boy. That's the other thing. Don't get me started on. As a really big fan of classic video game soundtracks, I could not care less about OSTs. I don't care. There's so many OSTs mess with the sound in unappealing ways. They're very unconfident about the 8-bit soundtracks, so they're just like, oh, let's slap a bunch of reverb on, but the reverb isn't added in like a very it's not done in a masterful way where it's like, oh, let's per audio track, let's separate all the sound channels and then add a little bit of reverb to this one pulse channel but not to this. It's like, no, they just like slap it on the whole thing uniformly. One of the Castlevania OSTs plays back at the wrong speed, at the wrong tempo entirely. And like, part of my conspiracy theory brain is like, did you just speed up the music so you could fit it onto a CD? Is that what you did? Like, I don't... It's such a... The fact that I can hook up a Game Boy to my computer and just record it and have that be vastly superior to the official soundtrack is like pathetic. Like, it's like... It's just truly like, oh, come on. I did some pretty cool stuff with sampling stuff off of Game Boys back in the day, though, where I would take... there's an emulated audio format for Game Boy soundtracks called .gbs, you know, Game Boy Sound or whatever. So a lot of people would rip the music data out of ROMs so you could just listen to just the soundtracks. And someone made a conversion tool for converting them back into a Game Boy ROM, where it's just a Game Boy ROM with a track select. Like, that's all it is. So I would take Game Boy soundtracks, convert them back into Game Boy ROMs, so that you could listen to whole soundtracks off the original hardware, with like a flash cart sort of setup. And that was like the best way to sample and listen to original Game Boy music, because you'd have situations where like, maybe I was sampling the music from a Batman game, and the Batman stage has an auto-scrolling level, and it has an introduction that never loops, right? The intro to the song like only plays once or something like that, and you can't escape sound effects in the gameplay. You can't just sample the music from the game. Like, a lot of game music, you sort of can, like maybe like, oh, I'm just gonna let the stage sit there, and I'll carefully trim the track so that I have the whole loop properly. Like, sometimes sound effects just get in the way. You know, you have a Mega Man track where Mega Man drops into the stage, and there's like a sound effect for him dropping in, but the intro to the music never repeats or whatever. So you can't just always sample stuff from the gameplay itself. So being able to like play the soundtracks back on original hardware is really cool. You get to avoid all those issues. Oh yeah, I should complain further. When I say I could not care less about OSTs, yeah, I'm talking about the official actual releases, like CDs. Yeah, I don't. If I look to like at the OST for an old game soundtrack, I'm going to be like, is it missing tracks? Is it? I'm very anal about this stuff because I used to have a channel on YouTube called Xplod2 AO3 where I uploaded video game soundtracks, and it was just kind of like, I was just like, I could do a better job myself. It was always the philosophy I had, like, probably. I'm like, you know, some OSTs might have cool stuff. Maybe they'll have bonus materials of, like, that you can't get in the game, like demo synth versions of the tracks, and, like, you know, that type of shit's awesome. But a lot of the times it's like, I'm just going to be looking at this being like, did they not sample this as well as they could have? Did they leave out tracks? Could I make a more complete version of this myself? I don't know if it's in production hell or anything, or if it's still, or if it already came out and I just missed it or whatever, but there's a Castlevania box set of soundtracks coming out on vinyl, which is like pretty cool as a collector's thing. And I know the person who sampled it. He didn't go back to they didn't just lazily print all of the old Castlevania OSTs. They hired a guy who knows his shit to sample the best quality you can get from the original hardware. The guy moved heaven and earth to get the best possible sounds, you know, not smothering them in gross reverb, doing really insane stuff. Like, if he's sampling like the Japanese version of Castlevania 3, he's not only sampling it from like original hardware, but like, because even that's not necessarily the best and cleanest way you can get it, because like the output of the Famicom might be a little noisy. So he's using like modded consoles. He might be modding the game cartridge itself directly to tap in the expansion audio and get like a cleaner sample of it. So he went back and sampled like all of the original Castlevania soundtracks from hardware, the best way you can get them sounding. It was just like a best case scenario. But I think that box set is only being released on vinyl, which is just like, like, damn it. And I think Konami took his work and like they now own it. Like, I think they archived it or whatever. So like they have all of the files that he sent them, and it's like, if they ever release them again, those soundtracks again to CD or some other format, and they don't use his recordings, I'm gonna be so pissed. Konami now owns like proper recordings of all of the classic Castlevania soundtracks, but it hasn't been like released anywhere, or is only being released to vinyl or whatever. Incredible amount of work that he did to do that. Really, really cool shit. Hey, Jizu, I you know what? The Super Nintendo version of Divine Bloodline rips. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know the Dracula X on Super Nintendo is like the inferior port of Rondo of Blood or whatever, you know, like some of that music is really good though. The guitar sample in that, it's like one of the best sounding guitars in Super Nintendo music. It is so good. Like the strummy guitar. Incredible stuff. Yeah, I love that version of that song. I think that's the one you're talking. Yeah, the first stage. Yeah. Because I couldn't remember it by name, Divine Bloodline. But yeah. Yeah, that opening track is so good on the Super Nintendo. Some of the other best sounding guitar on Super Nintendo. This is very funny, but shout out to Waterworld. Remember that movie Waterworld? That was a huge, massive flop. They had some video game adaptations produced by Ocean, was it? I think. And the soundtracks are really good. That has some of the best sounding guitar on Super Nintendo as well. They did something really cool with it where they used some obscure effect of the Super Nintendo audio that most soundtracks don't use to sort of distort the audio. So it's just not baked into the sample itself. They're doing like a primitive form of FM modulation, sort of, on the Super Nintendo. You can get data from one channel to affect the data of another channel. So you can do some weird dynamic, like, primitive sound synthesis stuff to really mess with it. So they did that to like their guitar samples, and the guitar sounds cool as hell. I don't know, like I wish I could like just look up like how common is this in Super Nintendo soundtracks, but that's not like archived. There's not, I don't know how you could like even figure that out. There's no archive, there's no database that's just like, yeah, this shows up in X amount of Super Nintendo tracks. Like no one's done that kind of research before. But from my understanding, though, of looking into it back in the day, you really only found it on sound effects in some games. Like a sound effect in like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy might have like an animal roaring that has like a really weird kind of screechy sound to it. It's like, oh, they might be applying that effect to that to manipulate it more than you could with just a raw sample. Super Nintendo samples are really, really primitive. Right, like we call them like 16-bit samples, but like, oh my god, just barely, just barely. Like the Amiga computer had soundtracks with, it was just 4 channels of 8-bit samples. Those 8-bit samples often sound much higher quality than Super Nintendo 16-bit samples, because they were 16-bit on the Super Nintendo, but they had to be tiny. They had to be absolutely the tiniest file sizes possible. There's no long samples ever, like on the Super Nintendo, pretty much. There's no, if you ever hear like an instrument that like has sustain and fades, it is looping a tiny, tiny speck. You know, any sustaining note is looping. Because they had to be really efficient with them. They used something called BRR, bit rate reduction. So like samples on the Super Nintendo are bit crushed to hell, despite being 16-bit. They are like really, really reined in to be able to fit them, to have enough memory. Okay. All right. Hopefully we'll get this Vagrant eventually here. Did I not drop it because I rolled too soon? Oops, I forgot to pop humanity. I should be doing that in the elevator on the way down. Arcade ports to Super Nintendo always had inferior music? Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, because by the time you're making arcade games in like the 16-bit era, then the arcade games have cool FM soundtracks. I love, this is like to go console war brained to a million years ago. I feel like your average Super Nintendo soundtrack is better than your Sega Genesis soundtrack, but the best Sega Genesis soundtracks are peak and just have a sound that the Super Nintendo can't touch. It's like when the Sega Genesis audio is being utilized, or Sega Mega Drive, I should say, for people in Europe, when that's being utilized to its max, it's like so much cooler. I'm trying to have examples. Sega Genesis soundtracks that sound incredible would be like the Echo the Dolphin games. Those go for a really great... they embrace sounding like synthesizers, right? Like, I feel like if you had a higher quality... Well, there are higher quality versions of those soundtracks as well, but, like, even if you only have the Sega Genesis soundtrack, if you're listening to it, like, oh, I want to arrange this for live instruments, your live instruments would just be synthesizers. So they really embrace, like, the FM audio. To a great degree. Some of it reminds me of like 70s kind of like psychedelic synthesizer music. The sequel, Echo Tides of Time, has like some really awesome, gnarly sounding music. The Ys series, YS, Ys 3, Wanderers from Ys or whatever, that soundtrack on Sega Genesis rips. The Super Nintendo soundtrack is really good too. It's not bad at all. That's a game that was multi-platform, and it has quote unquote like Red Book audio, because I think the game was on one PC 890, one of those Japanese computer platforms. So there are even higher quality versions of its soundtrack still, but like Sega Genesis hits the sweet spot because the higher quality versions, like sometimes the synth sounds are like a little 80s cheesy, in a way that can be like a little corny at times. But on the Sega Genesis, you're just like, it's ripping as like chip tunes. I have like the best version of those songs, even though they weren't originally written primarily as chip tunes, like they're so good on the Sega Genesis. Streets of Rage soundtracks, there's so much good stuff happening in them. A lot of the best Sega Genesis soundtracks make good use of Sega Master System audio. Because the Sega Genesis was backwards compatible and could play Sega Master System games, so there's a different sound chip in it for that. So Sega Genesis is a hybrid, right? Like it gets known for having like FM audio and stuff like that. I think, what is it, like 6 channels of FM audio? That's like the quote-unquote 16-bit side of the console. But it can also just do like 8-bit square waves and stuff. And you can have the console put out both simultaneously. And so a lot of the best Sega Genesis soundtracks, like, they'll use the square waves. They'll mix them in with the FM sounds, and it sounds awesome. I keep forgetting to like actually check for the Vagrant here. That's a problem. I'm on autopilot. I gotta force myself to at least step out here so the ghosts fries. That would be a better... I'm surprised we haven't seen the evil Vagrant here yet, though. Yeah, Streets of Rage soundtracks are great. Also, Streets of Rage 3 has been vindicated over time, because same composer as 1 and 2. The music isn't as catchy as 1 and 2. Like, there's... Oh my god, 1 and 2 have some really memorable, awesome songs in them. 3 goes for, like, a lot more of, like, a harder jungle rave techno, kind of, like, abrasive, but, like, the sound design is so good, though. Like, if you're trying to look back at, like, all right, what's we look at like Tim Fallon as like shredding on the Super Nintendo, and it's like, what's an equivalent for the Sega Genesis, right? And I think like Streets of Rage 3 is a good example of them just going so hard with the sound. So I feel like people bounced off it because it wasn't as catchy as Streets of Rage 1 and 2. The melodies are a lot like harsher. But it is so good though. Oh, come on. Let's go. Let's get a Vagrant. It could be that the constant reloading and Firelink makes this a little bit harder. Echo and Shining Force? Yeah, hell yeah. War Song, also known as Langrisser, on the Sega Genesis, has a great soundtrack. There's others that I'm like half remembering in my head that I don't remember exactly, but it's really good stuff. Langrisser, not to be confused with Landstalker. War Song is the name it got in the US, but like internationally, I think Langrisser is the proper name for the series. It's like Langrisser. I did not have a Genesis growing up. I didn't have any consoles growing up. Yeah, I always had to play at friends' houses. It was the late 90s and early 2000s was a huge era of like retro game rediscovery for me, where it was like a lot of games that I missed or never got to like spend a lot of time with. I played in emulation or, you know, got an NES and was getting games on cartridge for dirt cheap around that time. But yeah, no, I didn't have any consoles growing up at all. Can't complain though, because I had 2 Amiga computers in my home. So like I had a funny thing where like my dad liked having computers around, and but was sort of like not, so you know, he definitely dropped some money on some, you know, early PCs basically, but like wasn't really into trying to keep up with all the latest gadgets otherwise. So, and it was just like, yeah, no, he's like, when you're older, you can save up money to buy a console for yourself, right? But he was like, nah, I'm not going to buy like a Nintendo or a Sega Genesis or anything like that, or a Game Boy. And also one kind of unspoken rule, which I really can't complain about, but we also weren't allowed to ask for computer games as presents. We couldn't put computer games on a Christmas list or like ask it for like a birthday gift. But he would just randomly, there was a random drip feed of being like, hey, I picked this up. So I'm just like, so I just got used to like the experience a lot of people have where it's like, oh, they're excited for this game coming out and then getting it or unboxing it for, like, I never really had that. There was just computer games in my home on a random drip feed over time, and it ruled. Like, you know, I don't know. I was just like, so I never, there was a lot, so I grew up like not really keeping up with the latest game releases just because I sort of understood like, oh, well, I'm not going to own that, or I'm not going to get that. So I had a kind of weird childhood of gaming where like just a lot of computer games on Amiga that, you know, like in elementary school, like I didn't know anyone else who had an Amiga. So like all the popular games I would be playing at friends' houses, like Mortal Kombat and Mario and stuff like that. But then I go home and I'm playing Myth, History in the Making, or Super Frog, or Zoom, or, you know, just like games that like no one's heard of. Stuff like the one common ground I had with other gamers is multi-platform PC games, right? Because like there was a lot of stuff on Amiga that was also on PC and Mac as well, like all adventure games basically. So Secret of Monkey Island, Space Quest, stuff like that, you know. Yeah, my dad was definitely an Amiga nerd back in the day. He went to... They had user meeting groups. So we'd get a lot of, like, pirated shit. We own a lot of stuff on proper game discs as well, but there'd definitely be some copied floppies making their way into our home and, like, homebrew. There are games from my childhood that are lost media. They don't exist. I've Googled them, and no Amiga archive has them or references them because it was made from some local, like, you know, people were just like trading them like at like user meetup groups. So I had this game called Boo, BOO exclamation mark, which was a very primitive, like, Atari style adventure / puzzle game on the Amiga. Clearly just a very simple homebrew where it's like you're a dot moving around a screen and you have to, like, find keys and, like, you know, find your way to the exit or whatever. And it's just like, you can't find Boo, the Amiga game, anywhere. There's no reference to it anywhere. It doesn't exist. But I know I didn't make it up, so. Hey, welcome, Dark Lord Disco. Yeah, exactly. FCOG, all the FCOG discs we had. There's no way of dancing around the subject. Dark Lord doxing incoming. Dark Lord's my brother. I don't think I've mentioned that on stream yet. So every now and again where I'm, like, reminiscing about old stuff with Dark Lord. Dark Lord's my older brother. So yeah, he knows all about our weird Amiga childhood. So it feels funny sometimes being like, oh, welcome back, Dark Lord. Like, handle speak. But yeah, I don't know at what point you came into the conversation, but we were talking about video game music for a while, and I was talking about great Sega Genesis music, and someone asked if I had a Genesis growing up, and that's when I explained just having only having Amiga, like, computer games in the home growing up. Why does old brother have the cringiest name? No, Dark Lord Disco goes hard. I love that shit. Here's his Night Dragon. Yeah, Night Dragon also rules. Okay, we've been trying here for a while. No luck yet. Fingers crossed, though. Maybe eventually. I'm trying to think of what other Amiga games... There were two, I remember, from my childhood that I couldn't... Oh, yeah, there was something called, like, Robo Venture or something like that I enjoyed a lot. I think it was made with, like, a Game Maker kit of some kind, probably. But it had its own level editor packaged with it. Like, it was probably... I don't think it was the original Game Maker kit. It was, like, a modified version for that game. And that was a game I enjoyed a lot. And it was a weirder one that I don't think you really got to play, Dark Lord. I don't think you really... Like, by that point... So I think I remember talking to... I think we talked about this before, and you're like, I don't remember that game. So that would have been, like, a later thing that Dad would have picked up. It was... interesting game. I don't know how to describe it. Side-scrolling platformer with, like, a lot of the sprites are kind of small. Like, your character wasn't like your character was very simplistic looking, but it had a lot of cool gameplay shit going on. Where it was like, it was very overwhelming kind of game where is very open exploration wise. Like, there would be like areas that were sectioned off and you couldn't get everywhere, but like if you could go out the top of the screen, you would wind up in a new area in the screen above. If you could go to the right, you wind up in a new screen. You go down. So the screen didn't like scroll. It was like room after room after room. But it was like a physics-based platformer with like jumping, and you get like a jetpack and stuff like that, and there'd be like limited resources, and there were shops where you could like buy stuff. And it's like if you invested in like a jetpack and you found like a weird screen where you could go out the top, then you might wind up like in a pretty weird place. And it's just like, I don't know. The vibe of it was really cool, where it felt like with enough effort, you could do like really weird non-linear exploration and get like horribly lost in this game, and it was really cool. And sadly, there's no footage of it. Like, I would love to see someone else's like playthrough of it, but I don't think it exists. I think it's lost media. But yeah, that was a weird one that that I wouldn't expect you to remember as well. Never heard of Amiga? There's a good chance you've probably heard of the C64, the Commodore 64, as like a retro computer. That was a very popular. The C64s were everywhere. And then there was the Commodore Amiga. So it was the successor to, it was the follow-up to the C64. It was the Commodore Amiga. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason you haven't heard of it though. Like, it did not